Hello. Today we're going to talk about a really important technology regarding data exchange format and type safety. Data exchange format, which is commonly used, are XML and JSON. These are the data exchange formats which is human friendly, which means that it's really easy for humans to read and operate with. But the ease of use comes at a cost, and the cost is about high resource usage, such as CPU and RAM, which comes from the JSON parser. The JSON parser needs to parse human readable strings into application or language level objects, and that is resource intensive. And the other reason is that JSON is dynamic, not type safe, because it aims for flexibility so that the model in JSON is not rigid because it's made that way. Okay, so there are, however, attempts to make a rigid model for JSON, which is called the JSON schema. JSON schema enables you to create type definitions for JSON, and the implementation is called the AJV. You can look it up if you want it, it's there. But even though you have made a rigid model for your JSON, the problem of high memory usage, high resource usage is still there. So are there any alternatives? Okay, so enter Protobuf or protocol buffer. Protobuf is a data exchange format which is developed by Google and originally meant to be used in gRPC. gRPC is a HTTP2 based protocol for service-to-service communication. Protobuf is a binary data exchange format, and you have to define a schema first or a model first in a language called the proto language. So after you have created the proto model for your proto file, you can transfer or transpile or compile the model to any language you like. Protobuf supports so many languages. The one I have tried is C#, Go, Java, TypeScript, JavaScript, PHP, Dart, and I haven't tried C, C++, and Python, but it should also work in these languages. It's very neat. Supports many languages. So several basic types in Protobuf you need to know before jumping in is integer, unsigned integers, 32-bit integers, 64-bit integers, float, string, bytes, and there's a modifier called repeated, which dictates if a property is an array or not, and there's also a required and optional modifier to dictate if a property is nullable or not. Then finally there's a numerator. I think these are the basic types you need to know in Protobuf to start writing your proto files. Protobuf supports serialization and deserialization to JSON and binary format, so you can transfer between JSON to Protobuf, Protobuf to JSON, and that also works with binary format. Okay, so let's put these theories to work, and we are going to create a REST API service in PHP 8 using the Lumen Framework and using Protobuf. We are going to put protocol buffer in our PHP application. Okay, let's go. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to install the prerequisites, which is the ProtoC, which is the protocol buffer compiler. Okay, scroll down here and then go to the download page and install according to your operating system. Like here you have Windows or OS X. If you are using Linux, you can just install it with your package manager. I'm using Arch Linux, so I can use Pacman here. Protobuf C. This one. Okay. but I'm not gonna install it because I already have Proto installed in my system. The second thing you need is Composer. You can Google the Composer and then get to the download page here. Download it right here. There's an instruction right here, or if you want to install the exe file for Windows, you can scroll it down here. Where is it? This one, install Composer globally, and then we can install it here. Just download the .exe file and save the file, then install it. But of course, I'm not gonna install it because my system is Linux. And to check if Composer and Proto is installed in your system, just type this Proto C. If this gets printed out, which it means that Proto C has been installed in your system. And for Composer, just type Composer and press Enter. I have installed Composer and Proto C in my system. Then we're gonna go to the Lumen front page. Okay, this one right here. Go to the documentation, then go to installing Lumen. As you can see here, there's command which you can use to create a Lumen project. Just paste it here, and then change the project name. I'm gonna name it Protobuf tutorial, and press enter. We'll download some resources from the internet, and then after that you can cd to your project folder Protobuf tutorial. I'm gonna start a PHP development server right here, typing this command in the public folder, and then it will output an address in which I can enter here. This is printed out in your browser. That means that Lumen has been installed in your system. Okay, so the next step in creating a proto file integration in PHP is to run a code editor. Doesn't matter what it is, but I'm gonna use Visual Studio Code. Start code here. It will open Visual Studio Code. You can use whatever a code editor you want, but I'm gonna use Visual Studio Code for this one. Create a new folder. You can name it whatever you like, but I'm gonna name it Proto C. And I'm going to create a file called application.proto here. Okay, it might help to install an extension called the Proto extension, VS Code Proto 3, like this one I'm using. Okay, so we're gonna write our first Proto file. You have to define the syntax first. It's the Proto 3. Okay, and for PHP we have to define the namespace by typing option PHP namespace equals, because this is a Lumen project and every application file has an app namespace, like this for example, namespace app. We're gonna name it app, and since we're going to put it in a folder specifically for proto files, we're gonna name it app // proto. Okay, I'm gonna use it here, and the second one you need is metadata namespace. This, just name it GPB metadata. It's the generated folder used by PHP. Okay, so we're gonna write our first message person, and we are going to compose something inside the person, which is called the base model. And the base model consists of these properties. Gonna type in optional in every field, optional unsigned integer 64 ID. The first field, every field must have the incrementing number, and this is the reason for this is because of backwards compatibility. And the second one is string, we can add, let's say, and the third one is we can add. Okay, so we're gonna compose a base model to person here, optional base model, base underscore model. Okay, so this is the first field, and the second field will be name, which is the second one, right? And the next one, we're gonna create a message which contains the array of objects. We use the repeated modifier, repeated person people. So this message will hold multiple people because it has this repeated field. Okay, the in this one, this folder, we are going to create a shell script file which is called the proto.sh, and this one will be used to generate the proto files, and we will output the um, proto files into this folder. Okay, we're gonna create a folder in the app folder called protos, okay, because we have named the namespace proto. Sorry, it should be proto. Okay, so we're gonna look up Google on how to generate the PHP protobuf files. This one, PHP generated code. To invoke the compiler, we need to run this command. Okay, we're gonna run this command, and then this proto path is actually the current folder. The PHP out will be in the current folder too, and the proto file name is application.proto. We're gonna run this, but first we need to cd to proto c and make the gain proto.sh to be executable. This so we can invoke it. Right? If we press enter, it will generate a proto folder called app, and that is based on the namespace we have defined right here. We have the first people, which contains this message, and we have person, okay, which contains this message. We have let's put it side by side. A person has base model, like this also has base model, and then name, it also has name here. Okay, so there's something we need to install again, and that is the Protobuf module for PHP. Just search for Protobuf packages. This, we need to install it through Composer. Install it here. Okay, we probably need to reset this VS Code so that it is defined. This does not get read anymore. Okay. Code. As you can see, the error has gone because we have installed the Protobuf package. Right. So after this, we need to transfer this proto files to here, right? So we're going to create a more commands in this proto shell script. And first we're going to remove the in the app folder, the proto folder, and we are going to create it proto, and we are going to copy the contents of the this one. First, we're gonna copy the GPB metadata over to this directory. Okay, app slice gpb proto slice gpb metadata to the app proto folder, and then finally we are going to transfer all of the contents in the proto app slice proto folder. Yeah, so if we run the shell script again in the proto C folder, again proto.sh, okay, I have mistyped it here. It should be gpb metadata, gbp, right? So it should be, okay, if I generate again right now, okay, so the GPB metadata and the proto here has disappeared and it has moved here. Okay, we don't need the GBP one, we only need the GPB one. Okay, it's mistyped. Okay, generate it again. Each time the each time your proto file changes, this will also change. Okay, so now that we have got the proto files, let's try using it in our application. Let's go to the routes and web.php. You can try and create a proto object here, and then we're gonna use JSON first. We're gonna transfer the proto to JSON. Okay, let's name the boot proto. We're gonna use this one. We have created person, and we are going to create a variable new person. Just let the autocomplete handle it right here. Okay, it automatically imports the person object inside this proto folder. Okay, so person has two properties. The first one is base model, and the second one is name. We're gonna set the name first here. Set name. As you can see, it has the method called set name. Gonna set the name here. Okay, so then we return response, which contains the serialized person serialized to JSON string. Then we put the headers content type to application JSON. Now let's tell the web browser that this is a JSON content. Okay, so let's spin up the PHP web server. Okay, then we go to this address. We go to slice proto like we have defined. Then we will get this JSON. It's Protobuf compatible JSON. Right? So if we want to create an array of objects like we have defined here, we can create people equals new people. A people is a message we have defined here, okay, which contains a repeated person. These people set people, and then we are going to give it an array, and we are going to create this one. We're gonna put the person inside here. This is a anonymous function. Okay, we have set the name here. Then we return the person. We're gonna create another person so that you know it is multiple person. You can put multiple person in it. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna serialize the people object. Then, okay, refresh this. Okay, return response. I have not a semicolon here. Okay, so we got multiple objects here. Let's add the other property called the base model. Set base model to this one. I'm gonna create another anonymous function here called bm. New base model. Bm, we're gonna set the ID to 1 and return the bm. Alright, so we're gonna set this also to the second person. Set the ID to 2. Okay, so it's a nested model. So the base model here, another base model here. Right. So let's say we want to add another property to the proto file here. We're gonna add the address here. Now, if we set the address right now, this is not possible because we have not regenerated the proto file. Set address. This method does not exist, and we have to regenerate the proto file. Let's open another tab here. Proto C. Okay, rerun the genproto.sh, and then we will get the address. We can set the address. Set address right here. We can set the address, and it's a string. Yeah, so let's say this is the address. When we rerun this reload, we'll have the address here. Okay, that is about serializing from PHP proto to JSON. But what about the reverse? We want to serialize from JSON to the proto. Okay, so let's add another root. We have a JSON string. We call this root is protobuf. Okay, this one is person. I'm gonna pass a person, and we can have the merge from JSON string method, and the first argument will be the there's actually only one argument. It is the JSON string. If we have the JSON string contains something like this: name equals Alian, and then we return the response, serialize it back to JSON string, and put the header as content type JSON. Okay, and when we access this protobuf, we can get this one. And if we enter the invalid type, let's say this is string, and we enter integer here like 2000, what will happen? This will get converted to string because the type of this one is string name. Yeah, I think that's it for now for protocol buffer to JSON serialization on and how you can use it in PHP. So at this point, you might be wondering why are we still using JSON? At the start of the video, we are comparing JSON and Protobuf. We should use Protobuf, right? That's because Protobuf is originally meant to use with the gRPC, and I think gRPC leaves a room for another video. And this is just to show you that any system that can use JSON can still interact with Protobuf service that use Protobuf, because it has a compatibility layer which enables Protobuf to be transferred to JSON, JSON to Protobuf, and vice versa. Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this gives a new insight for you.